Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us chant one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Let's recite Bhagavad Gita shloka. We are reciting from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, text 26. Yes, Mataji, Aditi Lata Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Arnita.
Anyatva evam ajananta shrutam phaya upasate tepi chaturiyanti eva mrityu shruti parayanaha. Translation. Again, there are those, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
अन्ये त्व एवम् अजानन्ता स्वन्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्ति एव मृत्युश्रुति parayana. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Priyanka Haripriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
अन्येत एवम् अजानन्तः श्रुत्वा नेभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Achyut Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavad penance. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Bhagavad.
Dandavad Pranam Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
अन्यत्वेयं जानन्ता श्रुत्वा नेभ्योपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Translation by Bhagavad Gita. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, beginning worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend this path of birth and death. Thank you, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Isha.
अन्यद्वैवम् अजानन्तः श्रुत्वा नेभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Krishna Shish.
अन्यत्वेवम् अजानन्तः श्रुत्वा अन्येभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Madhava.
अन्यत्वेवम् अजानन्तः श्रुत्वा नेभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Rasa Priya.
अन्यत्वेवम् अजानन्तः श्रुत्वा नेभ्यः उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Again, there are those who are not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Narasimha Leela Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Spurti.
Anyatvamevam ajnantam ta shruta.
अन्ये त्वेवम् अजानन्तः
अन्यत्वेवम् अजानन्त श्रुत्वभ्या उपासते
श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते
श्रुत्वन्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चापि तरन्तेव मृत्युं श्रुति
परायणाः.
Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, began to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others, because of their
Tendency.
tendency to hear from
Authorities.
authorities. They also transcend to path of birth and death. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
अन्यत्वा एवम् अजानन्ता श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातिरन्ति एव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Translation by Sri Dasi. Again, there are also those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Thank you, Mataji.
Priyanka Haripriya Mataji finished. Saujanya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Anyetva evam ajananta shrutva nyebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayana. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prajna is there, Mataji?
She already left.
Sheila. Yes, Prabhuji. Narsimha Chaitan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Surya.
Anjetva evam ajananta shutva me ye vya upasate tepi chaita eva
Tepi chati tarantyeva.
tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Anyetva evam ajananta श्रुत्वा नेभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चाति तरन्तेव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? So let's begin. I'll also recite Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 text 26. Anyetvevam ajanantah shrutvanyebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 24, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, text 63 and 64. So I'll recite and Arunita, you read the translation. Bhoja Vrishnyandaka Madhu Shurasena Dasharhakaihi Shlaghaniye Hitaha Shashvat Kuru Srinjaya Pandubhihi Snigdha Smitekshitodareir Vakyair Vikramalilaya Nrilokam Ramayamasa Murtya Sarvangaramya.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Assisted by the descendants of Bhoja, Vrishni, Andhka, Madhu, Shurasena, Dasha, Kuru, Shrunjaya, and Pandu, Lord Krishna performed various activities. By his pleasing smiles, his affectionate behavior, his instructions, and his uncommon pastimes, like raising Govardhan Hill, the Lord, appearing in his transcendental body, pleased all of humans of sight.
Yeah. Purport. Prabhuji is not there, right? Achintya Prabhu is not there, right?
Let me check once.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay. Purport.
He's coming. He's right here.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please read the purport, Prabhuji.
The words Riklokam Ramayan Asamurtya Sarvanga Ramaya are significant. Krishna is the original form, Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described here by the word Murtya. The word Murti means form. Krishna or God is never impersonal. The impersonal feature is but a manifestation of his transcendental body, Yassa Prabha Prabhavato Jagat Andakoti. The Lord is Narakriti, exactly resembling the form of a human being, but his form is different from ours. Therefore, the word Sarvanga Ramaya informs us of that every part of his body is pleasing for everyone to see. Apart from his smiling face, every part of his body, his hands, his legs, his chest, is pleasing to the devotees who cannot at any time stop seeing the beautiful form of the Lord. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So the previous verse that we read was that the Lord comes to perform pastimes. One second. Okay. So I'll just read the translations of the last few verses. So why does the Lord appear? 56. When there is a rise of irreligion and deterioration of religious principles, the Lord appears. And 57 says, there is no cause for his appearance activities except his desire or his compassion. Then how does he come? For him to come, first of all, there has to be a creation. So he manifests this creation and then maintains it and annihilates it. How does he do it? Through his external energy or material energy. And then he himself descends to this creation. What is the purpose of this creation? To enable the conditioned souls to go back home, back to Godhead, to revive their Krishna consciousness, to go back to Godhead. Then what are the circumstances under which the Lord comes? We said when there's a rise of irreligion. So the demons, when you say rise of irreligion, means there are a lot of demoniac personalities who take power. They become the rulers and they start persecuting the devotees. So what does the Lord do? He arranges for these demons who have, he even allows them to increase their military power. And then these demons fight with each other and kill each other. And in this way, the Lord decreases the demoniac population on the earth. This way, he paves way for the devotees to perform their Krishna consciousness peacefully. And when the Lord comes, what does he do? He performs wonderful pastimes, wonderful activities, and these activities cannot be comprehended, cannot be understood even by great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So we discussed the Brahma Vimohan Leela, and Lord Shiva, being bewildered, he was fighting against Lord Krishna in order to support his worshipper Banasur, like that. So if that's the case with big demigods, what to speak of ordinary people? So when the Lord performs wonderful activities, it's not understandable by everyone. And what are his wonderful activities? One of them is he arranged for the Battle of Kurukshetra, in which all these kings with big military armies, they fought with each other, they killed each other. So the earth was rid of all these military powers. Then we read that when the Lord performs these wonderful activities, what is the benefit? So when he is there, he is performing these wonderful activities and people are benefiting, but he is also considering the benefit. He is also concerned about the well-being of the people who will come after him. So another reason for his performance of these activities, wonderful activities, is so that there will be some material for the people coming in future. Right now they can remember his activities, they can hear about his activities, they can hear about his instructions in Bhagavad Gita. By that also they can become delivered. Then the next verse said, simply when this Krishna Katha, these talks about Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, the names of Krishna, and Krishna's words, his instructions, when they simply enter the ear holes, then one becomes free from all material. Actually, he becomes freed from material desires and fruitive activities. He becomes free from material desires and fruitive activities. This is the effect of hearing about his activities. So that's also why, one of the reasons why the Lord comes and performs pastimes, so that by hearing about these activities, these conditions. So all this shows how compassionate the Lord is on the living entities. Then we read today's verse, assisted by the descendants of Bhoja, Vrishni, Andaka, Madhu, Shurasena, Dasharha, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Pandu. So assisted by the descendants of all these kings, Lord Krishna performed various activities. By his pleasing smiles, his affectionate behavior, his instructions, and his uncommon pastimes like raising Govardhan Hill, the Lord appearing in his transcendental body pleased all of human society. So all the Krishna's activities, is Krishna performing activities alone? Actually, Krishna's picture you will never find alone. Krishna is always surrounded by his devotees and his associates. Always. So when he performs pastimes, whether he's performing pastimes in Vrindavan or in Mathura or in Dwaraka, these pastimes are always performed with his devotees. So who are all these devotees? They are the descendants of all these kings, these various dynasties. So whether you take in Vraj, in Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj, right? He's also coming from these descendants only. Devamida is the same common, ancestor from whom Vasudev is also coming, Nanda Maharaj is also coming. Because, he had one Vaishya wife and one Kshatriya wife. From Kshatriya wife, he had Shurasena. From Vaishya wife, he had Parjanya. Parjanya's son is Vasudev, and Parjanya's son is Nanda Maharaj, and Shurasena's son is Vasudev. So like that. So all the associates or devotees of Krishna with whom he performed pastimes, they're belonging to the descendants of these kings. Bhoja, Vrishni, Andhaka, Madhu, Shurasena, Dasharha, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Pandu. and he performed these wonderful activities. What is the effect of Krishna's wonderful activities on his devotees or on the entire human society? His smile is very pleasing. His behavior is very, very affectionate. And his instructions and his uncommon pastimes like lifting Govardhan and his beautiful form, his transcendental body, they are very, very pleasing to all of human society. So here, particularly in the purport, Srila Prabhupada highlights on the word, on the form, on the transcendental body of Krishna. So in the verse it is said, Murtya, Murti. Murti means what? Form. Murtya Sarvanga Ramyaya. His form is so pleasing to the whole human society. So Krishna is the original form. This Murti of Krishna, this is the original form. All other forms are coming from this. He is the fountainhead from whom all other forms are coming. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is described here by the word Murtya. Murti means form. Krishna is not impersonal. It's not that personal forms are coming from the impersonal. No. In the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is personal, and that personal form is Krishna's form. It's just the opposite. The impersonal feature is just one of the features of the personal form. It's a manifestation of the transcendental body. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti. Right? The effulgence coming from the form, that is the impersonal Brahmajyoti. The Lord is Narakriti. Nara Akriti. Nara means human being. Akriti means form. So he looks like his original form resembles the human form. That means 2 hands, 2 legs, 1 head. So the Lord is Narakriti, exactly resembling the form of a human being. But human beings on this earth, they are made of material bodies. Their bodies are made of material ingredients, whereas Krishna's form is not material. That's the difference. Although it exactly resembles the human form, still it's not the same. His form is different from ours. Therefore, Sarvanga Ramyaya informs us that every part, Sarva Anga, every part of his body is very pleasing for everyone to see. It is like human form, but actually it is different. It's very, very attractive. It is transcendental. It's very pleasing to every eye. So that is his form. Then his beautiful smiling face, his smile, and every limb of his body, hands, legs, chest, every part of his body is very, very pleasing. To whom? To his devotees. So they can never stop seeing Krishna's form. So in this context, Srila His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj explains that his form is so attractive. Each part of his body is so attractive that when someone sees a devotee, glances or takes darshan of one limb, he's so attracted, so mesmerized by that one limb. His vision does not go anywhere else. He cannot see anything else except that limb. It's not generally when you take darshan of the lotus feet, and you're supposed to take darshan like that. Lotus feet, then go higher and higher. But somebody who takes darshan of his lotus feet, he cannot go higher. He's just relishing. And actually the word, I think it is said in this verse only, pibanti. They drink the beauty of Krishna. Right? That particular here, pibantyo. Pibantyo means they're drinking. This is used to mean like Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam. You drink this bhagavatam. Vyasdev is saying, Pibata Bhagavatam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Oh rasikaha. That means those who are expert in relishing different, transcendental mellows. Please come and drink this rasa. What is this rasa? This ripened fruit, which has no pulp and no seed. It's simply rasa. Drink it like that. So that drinking is used for relishing something. So when somebody sees the beauty, and it is used for Krishna, his beauty is so great that when someone sees even one limb, right, he just keeps drinking and drinking and drinking. And this drinking is such, it's not like ordinarily when you're very thirsty you drink, and after you drink, what happens? You become satiated. Now you don't want to drink anymore, isn't it? Your thirst is satisfied, it is quenched, you don't want to drink anymore. But this drinking is such, the more you drink, the more thirsty you get. You cannot stop drinking. So that is why when someone drinks the beauty of one limb of Krishna, then someone means obviously a devotee, then because there is no satiation, you don't feel like, yes, now I'm satisfied, let me go to the next limb. They cannot go because the thirst only keeps, you want more and more, that greed only increases. You never ever feel that, yes, now I'm satiated, I've had enough. Never. So Maharaj said that once Srimati Radharani is speaking to her Sakhis, the gopis, and saying that, my dear gopis, or one particular Sakhi maybe, you are so fortunate that you take darshan of Krishna's hands and his chest and his limbs and his beautiful smiling face. I was only able to take darshan of his hair, his beautiful curly hair. I couldn't see anything else. I could only see his beautiful curly hair. That means she was so absorbed, she was taking darshan of the curly hair, beautiful curly hair of Krishna. It was so attractive that she could not move her eyes away from that to see anything else. Somebody takes darshan of Krishna's earrings, right? The earrings are shark-shaped earrings, are moving, and they cannot move their eyes away from his earrings, his ears and earrings. They just get stuck there. Someone else hears or his ankle bells or takes darshan of his lotus feet with ankle bells. They're stuck there. They cannot see anything else. Such is the beauty of every limb of Krishna. Each and every limb of Krishna is so attractive. So that's just a little bit of what Maharaj explained about Krishna's form, his beauty. Oh, this is the next verse. Okay. So one more time. So what did we read here? Krishna performs activities with the descendants of all these kings, and how attractive he is. His smile, his behavior. So it completely captivates, enchants the entire human society when he comes. Next verse. Yasyananam makarakundalarcharukarna भ्राजत्कपोलसुभगं सविलासहासं नित्योत्सवं न तत्रिपुरत्रिशिभिः पिबन्त्यो नार्यो नराश्च मुदिता कुपिता निमेश्च. Yeah, who's next? Isha read? Who read? Prabhuji read. So next is Isha, I think. Is Inba here? No, right? So yeah, Isha, go ahead. Translation.
Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments, such as earrings resembling shells. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling face and his smile is attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival. His face and body are really satisfying for everyone to see. But the devotees are angry that the Creator But the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes.
Yes. Purport, Krishna Shish.
As stated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Manusyanam sahasreshu kashyadil yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kasyanam veti tatvatah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows nature. Unless one is qualified to understand Krishna, one cannot appreciate the presence of Krishna on earth. Among the Bhojas, Vishnus, Indavas, Pandavas, and many other kings intimately related to Krishna, the intimate relationship between Krishna and the inhabitants of Vrindavan is especially peculiar. That relationship is described in this verse by the words Nityotsavam na tatripu Rishibhihi Pebantya. The inhabitants of Vrindavan especially, such as the cowherd boys, the cows, the calves, the gopis, and Krishna's father and mother, are never fully satisfied. Although they saw Krishna's beautiful features constantly, seeing Krishna is described here as Nityutsava, a daily festival. The inhabitants of Vrindavan saw Krishna almost every moment, but when Krishna left the village for the pasturing grounds, where he tended the cows and calves, the gopis were very much afflicted because they saw Krishna walking on the sand and thought that Krishna's lotus feet, which they dared not place on their breasts because they thought their breasts not soft enough, were being pierced by broken chips of snow. By even thinking of this, the gopis were affected and they cried at home. These gopis, who were therefore the exalted friends of Krishna, saw Krishna constantly. But because their eyelids disturbed their vision of Krishna, the gopis condemned the Creator, Lord Brahma. Therefore, the beauty of Krishna, especially the beauty of his face, is described here. At the end of the 9th canto, in the 24th chapter, we find a hint of Krishna's beauty. Now we are proceeding to the 10th canto, which is considered Krishna's head. The entire Srimad Bhagavad Purana is the embodiment of Krishna's form, and the 10th canto is his face. This verse gives a hint of how beautiful his face is. Krishna's smiling face, with his cheeks, his lips, the ornaments in his ears, his chewing of betel nuts. All this was minutely observed by the gopis, who thus enjoyed transcendental bliss. So much so that they were never fully satisfied to see Krishna's face, but instead condemned the creator of the body for making eyelids that obstructed their vision. The beauty of Krishna's face was therefore much more appreciated by the gopis than by his friends, the common boys, or even by Yashodamata, who was also interested in decorating the face of Krishna.
Yeah. So again, describing the beauty. So in the previous verse, it is said his activities were so attractive, his form was so attractive, his smile was so attractive, like that. And this verse, it's like zooming in, right? This verse is magnifying even more Krishna's face and his smile. The beauty of his face is being highlighted in this verse. Why? Because this verse is now going to lead to the 10th canto. You see, Srimad Bhagavatam has 12 cantos, and Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, the literary form of Krishna. So Krishna, just like Krishna is a personality, he has legs, hands, head, and this Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. So the different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are Krishna's various limbs. For example, the first two cantos, Canto 1 and Canto 2, are his lotus feet, right? Then third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, gradually as you go higher, right? His shanks, his thighs, his belly, his chest, his neck, and finally coming to his beautiful face. So the 10th canto is the smiling face of Krishna. And 11th and 12th cantos is go higher, right? Is the crown and like that. So just like when you take darshan of the Lord, starting with his lotus feet, and ultimately when you go to the face, then it's the fulfillment, isn't it, of your taking darshan. Like that. In the second canto also it is said that Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 topics. So talking about creation and maintenance and annihilation, about the Manus, all this is there. These are all various topics in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the purpose of studying all these subjects, topics, is to lead us to the 10th topic, which is Ashraya, which is the shelter for all these topics. What is that? The 10th topic, or the shelter for all other topics, is Krishna. That is given elaborately in the 10th canto. So the whole purpose of the remaining cantos is to prepare our consciousness to come to the 10th canto. And 10th canto, so the Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna, the beautiful form of Krishna, and each canto is a limb of Krishna. 10th canto is the smiling face of Krishna. So this verse that we read just now is describing the beautiful smiling face of Krishna, his cheeks, his ears and earrings, his beautiful smiling face is described, which is actually the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this chapter is ending and leading us into the 10th canto. Okay, so I'll read again. Krishna's face is decorated with ornaments such as earrings resembling sharks. His ears are beautiful, his cheeks brilliant, and his smiling attractive to everyone. Whoever sees Lord Krishna sees a festival, right? So especially who is able to appreciate? Well, Duryodhana was also seeing Krishna. Was he experiencing a festival? No. We saw different people. Some people, when they saw Krishna, they were experiencing fear, like Kamsa. And Kamsa was he was also seeing Krishna at every moment. In his mind, he was at every moment seeing Krishna. But what was his experience? Was he experiencing Nitya Utsavam, a festival? He was experiencing fear. So to whom is Krishna's form Nitya Utsava, a daily festival? To his devotees, particularly to the devotees of Vrindavan. So his face and body are fully satisfying for everyone to see, but the devotees are angry at the Creator for the disturbance caused by the momentary blinking of their eyes. And who is this? This is also the Brajbasis, specifically the gopis. They would complain that, why Lord Brahma is not very intelligent. He has created these eyelids, Nimesha, right? You say Nimesha, uh, Nimeshcha. So the moment they are disturbed by the blinking of the eyes, okay. So they were so absorbed in the beauty of Krishna that when that vision is momentarily obstructed by the eyelids, then they would curse. They would become angry at Lord Brahma. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining, not everyone understands Krishna. It's very rare for someone to know Krishna in truth. Then who understands Krishna in truth? Yesterday or the day before, we were reading one of the verses that when one hears this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, with purified ears, transcendental purified ears, then all his material desires are removed, isn't it? So when all his material desires are removed in that pure state, then by the mercy of Krishna, at that time he can actually understand Krishna. So the point is, unless you are pure, there's no question of understanding Krishna. And even after you are purified, it's not that because of becoming pure you'll understand Krishna. Even after you're pure, only when Krishna reveals himself by his causeless mercy will you be able to know him, understand him, see him. That is completely his sweet will. When he reveals it, that's when somebody will know. So for one to understand Krishna, he has to be qualified. What is that qualification? Krishna has to be pleased with you. And Krishna has to reveal, right? So when will Krishna be pleased with you? You have to do pure devotional service. That is minimum qualification. When you do sadhana bhakti, pure devotional service, then Krishna becomes pleased and then he'll give his mercy and then you can understand. So these associates of the Lord, like the descendants of Bhoja, Vrishni, Andhaka, Pandu, all these descendants, they were with Krishna all the time. They were related to Krishna intimately. How was this possible? Because they were qualified, right? They had that special relationship with Krishna. And even amongst all these descendants, the Brajbasis were the most intimate with Krishna. So this Nitya Utsavam, this verse, this is specifically talking about the inhabitants of Vrindavan, all of them, cowherd boys, cows, calves, gopis, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, everyone, all the Brajbasis. They were never satiated, like we were discussing in the previous verse, right? They would never be satiated by seeing the form of Krishna, by hearing his voice, by his pastimes. They're never fully satiated. And they were constantly seeing Krishna. Even when Krishna was out of sight, when he would go to tend the calves, then the gopis who were at home, they were not seeing, but still they were constantly seeing him by thinking about him. And similarly at night, when Krishna is, with the gopis or he's at home, then the cowherd boys are not seeing, but they're also always with Krishna, thinking about him. So therefore, they were experiencing constant festival, Nitya Utsava. At every moment, it was a festival for them because they are seeing Krishna. See, the inhabitants of Vrindavan saw Krishna almost every moment. And even when they were not physically seeing him, still in their thoughts, they were very much afflicted. Like, oh, for example, the gopis were thinking, Krishna is now walking in the forest, his souls are so soft and delicate, how will they tolerate the stones, chips of stone, they may prick Krishna. And just thinking about it, they would become afflicted with pain. This was the love of the gopis. Like, they couldn't even think of, because his palms and his soles, they are so soft, softer than the babies, what we have experienced in this world. Newborn babies, they have really delicate, soft skin. Krishna's soles, his palms, they were so soft, they were actually red. They were so soft and delicate, they were red. They would dare not keep his lotus feet even on their breasts, which are soft, isn't it? But they considered that their breasts were too hard for Krishna's lotus feet. And now Krishna is walking in the forest on stones. Just that thought would drive them, to anxiety. So this is the love, the exalted, position of the Brajbasis and their love for Krishna. So they were constantly seeing Krishna. Either they're directly seeing or in their minds, they are constantly thinking of Krishna. But even when he is in front of them, because the eyelids, they blink, without their thinking, they just blink. It's not that consciously we blink all the time. Even without our knowledge, we blink so many times. So, but that for that fraction of a moment when you blink and that vision is obstructed, they become completely disturbed and they condemn Lord Brahma. This is their attraction for Krishna, right? So this is the discussion of the beautiful face of Krishna, which is the 10th canto that we discussed already. The beauty of Krishna's face was therefore much more appreciated by the gopis than by his friends, the cowherd boys, or even by Yashodama. So see, the gopis' relationship was in Madhurya Rasa, conjugal love. Yashodama's relationship was Vatsalya, parental affection. And the cowherd boys is Sakhya. So the intimacy is more. First, there is Dasya, master and servant. There is that, it's not as intimate. A servant cannot, cannot insult Krishna. Servant cannot do that, right? Like Daruka's relationship with Krishna was that of a servant. Even in Vrindavan, in Braj also, there are those devotees whose relationship with Krishna is that of Krishna is the master, I am a servant. And then higher than the servant is Sakhya, friends. So friends, they can challenge each other and they can say, you know, what's your greatness? I'm better than you, like that. They can challenge and they can wrestle with Krishna. A servant cannot do that. In Dasyaras, you cannot do that. So they are equals with Krishna. But when you go higher, Vatsalyaras, then you become superior to Krishna. You become superior to Krishna. Yashodamai ties up Krishna, runs after him with a stick. Can equals friends do that, like run after with a stick? No, it's equal. Like we see in Bhagavad Gita, we were reading, Krishna and Arjun's conversation is equals. So Krishna says something, Arjun says something back. Argument, debate goes on. Equals. But when there is a superior, if it is a parent, it's different. It's different. So Vatsalya is superior to Sakhya. But even higher than Vatsalya is Madhurya, conjugal relationship. So, and also as we go higher, all the lower rasas are included in the higher rasa. For example, someone who is in conjugal rasa with Krishna, let's say conjugal rasa means it can be wedded or unwedded. Or let's say wedded, husband and wife. Okay. So can the wife act as a servant of Krishna? Yes, right? She can, get his water ready. She can clean. We hear how the goddess of fortune is sweeping, right? So they take, even though there are maid servants, Krishna's work they do personally. They take great, it's an honor to do the service for Krishna. So in conjugal relationship, the wife can act as a servant. Can she act as a friend? Yes. They have playful arguments and talks like friends. Can she act as a mother? Yes. She cooks, she prepares, she makes sure, I hope, like a mother. So that means in conjugal relationship, you'll find all the lower rasas. Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya are included in conjugal. But if you come down to Vatsalya rasa, can Mother Yashoda act like in conjugal rasa with Krishna? No way, isn't it? So the lower rasas will not have the higher rasas in them, but the higher rasas will include the lower rasas. That's why that is the topmost, that is the highest. That is why here in this purport, the last line, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the beauty of Krishna's face was much more appreciated by the gopis than his friends or even by Mother Yashoda. The gopis' appreciation was the highest of Krishna's beauty. Right. And Yashoda Mai was also interested in decorating Krishna's face. The cowherd boys were also interested. Right? You hear when they go to the forest, they would collect various minerals, they would decorate their faces with gopi dots. So they were also interested. Yashoda Mai would nicely bathe him and dress him up and decorate him. She was also interested in decorating Krishna's beautiful face. But who was relishing it the most? Who was appreciating the beauty of Krishna's face the most? The gopis. Like that. So text 66 and 67. We have two more in this chapter, and then we'll go to the 10th canto.
Next day,
So,
Mataji.
next day?
Next day.
Okay.
So it's already 8:15 almost.
Yeah, okay. So I'll read Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. So who read today? Krishna Shish read, right? Krishna Shish, you read, right? Okay, so Madhava's, you read. So Madhava's turn tomorrow. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text 8. Yes. Please repeat. Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyad yacchokamuchchoshanamindriyanam avapya bhuma vasapatnam riddham rajyam suranamapi chadhipatyam. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Yes, so I'm in so much. So after surrendering to Krishna as a disciple, Krishna didn't say anything yet. So then Arjun is saying that anyway, we will discuss it later because it's a long purport. There's much explanation. I just read the shloka today. I won't read the purport yet. We will discuss it tomorrow. We will repeat it again tomorrow. There's much discussion on this. And I'll just read a little bit of Leelamrita. Srila Prabhupada's Leelamrita. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada goes to the China market, Chinatown, right, to get his Indian groceries. His walks west of Bauri into Chinatown and Little Italy were mainly for shopping, but he also noted prospective sites for a temple. Chatham Tower or Chatham Square particularly drew his attention. Sometimes he would walk in the opposite direction as far as the East River and Brooklyn Bridge, but when a friend warned him that a sniper had been firing at strollers along the river, he stopped going there. Despite the bad neighborhood where Prabhupada lived and walked, he was rarely disturbed. Often he would find several Bowery bums asleep or unconscious at his door, and he would have to step over them. Sometimes a drunk, simply out of his inability to maneuver, would bump into him, or a derelict would mutter something unintelligible or laugh at him. The more sober ones would stand and gesture courteously, ushering the Swami into or out of his door at 94 Bowery. He would pass among them, acknowledging their good manners as they cleared his path. Certainly few of the Bowery men and others who saw him on his walks knew much about the small elderly Indian sadhu. That means hardly anyone knew about him. Dressed in saffron and carrying an umbrella and brown grocery sack. Sometimes Prabhupada would meet one of his new friends on the street. Jan, Michael Grant's girlfriend. So Michael Grant is Mukunda Goswami. Jan is Janaki. Jan, Michael Grant's girlfriend, met him on several occasions as he was out walking. Jan, I would see him in the midst of this potpourri of people down there, walking down the street. He always had an umbrella, and he would always have such a serene look on his face. He would just be taking his afternoon jaunts, walking along, sometimes stepping over the drunks, and I would always get sort of nervous when I would meet him on the sidewalk. He would say, "Are you chanting?" And I would say, "Sometimes." And then he would say, "That's a good girl." Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll stop here. Thank you all, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.